Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli back with another review video, and yes, reviewing the second animated feature film that won Best Animated Feature, and that being Pixar's Finding Nemo. Yes, Finding Nemo. What a true Pixar gem this is. Yeah, so the story. Marlin, a clownfish, is overly contagious with his son, Nemo, who has a foreshortened fin. Yeah. When Nemo swims too close to the surface to prove himself, which actually, he swam too close to a boat and touched the boat. He is caught by a diver, and horrified, Marlin must set out to find him. A blue reef fish named Dory, who has a really short memory. She suffers from short-term memory loss. Joins Marlin and complicates the encounters with sharks, jellyfish, and a host of ocean dangers. Meanwhile, Nemo plots his escape from a dentist's fish tank. Yeah, so first off, Finding Nemo was Pixar's first ever feature film to win Best Animated Feature. Pixar had previously won other Oscars for their short films, which being Tin Toy, Jerry's Game, and finally, they won an Oscar for one of their movies. And yeah, even say, unfortunately, Pixar lost the first time to Shrek. Monsters Incorporated was nominated for Best Animated Feature, but of course it didn't win. But still, being nominated is still something, So, Finding Nemo being Pixar's first, and, I have so many memories of Finding Nemo. Like, I had watched this nonstop when I was little, and I remember, I've enjoyed, the bonus features on the Finding Nemo DVD. I'm telling you, the DVD release of Finding Nemo, it blew up. Reading about this and so on, it definitely took off. And it seemed like Finding Nemo was the next, highest grossing animated film since The Lion King. I even, I also remember, hearing that Don Hahn, he phoned up Andrew Stanton and was like, all right, it's about time, according to Electric Dragon 505's animation look back of, Pixar and Finding Nemo. So yeah, with the story, because, Marlin, who at first is happily with his, love interest, Coral, and Coral was voiced by Elizabeth Banks, and, of course, Marlin being voiced by, Albert Brooks. Fun fact, William H. Macy was going to be the voice of Marlin originally, and he did record his lines, but Andrew felt that it just didn't seem right, and, he replaced William with Albert Brooks. And I think, rightfully so, no hard feelings on William H. Macy. It would have been interesting, what his Marlin would have been like, don't you think? So yeah, at one point, because they're happily, living, and, they moved into a new anemone, right out of the drop-off, and, at one point, a barracuda coming in and attacking, the clownfish, the barracuda goes after Coral and the eggs. They were going to have kids, and they were going to become parents, but all that didn't happen, and Marlin was all on his own until he found a surviving egg in which, Coral wanted to name one clownfish Nemo, and thus Marlin did name that baby clownfish Nemo. And years later, because Nemo so excited to go on his first day of school, Marlin being a very overprotective father, and that's the thing too, because with the inspiration of this film, Andrew Stanton had that happening to him. He was being overprotective of his son, and he really felt that he was not doing a good job being a dad because he was being very overprotective. And even, like, say, they, at one point, went to, like, a aquarium, and with that, and with him being overprotective, that's where he got an idea for the story of Finding Nemo, and for it being all about fish. This clownfish who's overprotective, yeah. And thus, you know, like, things are okay for Nemo on his first day of school, up until when Marlin overhears that they're going to the drop-off, and, you know, Marlin and those 3 kid fish, you know, H2Owen, the seahorse, and, well, you know, that, I'm obnoxious, that one fish, and, the tentacle pink fish, like, what kind, like, is that not a little baby octopus or something? I'm not sure. Probably not, but you know, has the tentacles. And Mr. Ray, being voiced by the one and only Pixar legend Bob Peterson. Let's name the zones, the zones, the zones. And yeah, Marlin thinks that Nemo is not ready to do school until next year, and, you know, Nemo just glaring at his father and at one point saying, I hate you. And that's when Nemo, you know, he goes to touch the boat, and even, like, say the fish were calling the bottom of the boat a butt. You know, I'm gonna go touch the butt. And, of course, the divers going after Nemo, and Marlin chasing after the boat, and, you know, Marlin running into Dory. She helps Marlin, but, you know, Marlin realizes that Dory suffers from short-term memory loss. And a mention of Dory's family, and of course specifically her parents, which that of course would be a tease for what would come next, which, as we all know, being Finding Dory. Can I help you? As Dory says, something's wrong with you. And the sharks, that whole sequence with the sharks was great. I think, even, like, fun fact, it's one of my dad's favorites. Like, he definitely likes the Bruce character, you know. Hello, name's Bruce. Yeah, Bruce was a great character. You know, well, I trust a shark, right? Ah, yeah. And the other 2 sharks, Anchor and Chum, and yeah, the sharks being, Bruce being voiced by Barry Humphries, and Anchor being voiced by Eric Bana, and Chum being voiced by Bruce Spence, yeah. And, yeah, again, that whole shark sequence was great. You know, fish are friends, not food. And that, like, one little, like, scared, like, green fish, you know, was pretty funny. And even at one point, like, Marlin discovering the scuba diver's mask. And, you know, what do these markings mean? And at one point, Dory got injured, like, you know, because them, like, fighting over the mask, Marlin and Dory, causing Dory to have a nosebleed, and the blood going into Bruce's nose. Oh, that's good. And intervention! Like, yeah, Anchor and Chum knows what's wrong with Bruce, trying to save Marlin and Dory. And, of course, that whole, like, chase sequence up to when, you know, the torpedo in the sunk submarine gets into Bruce's mouth, throws it, and my mom, she loved that where it hits one of the, as they call them, balloons, you know? They're explosive, like, underwater bombs, and that torpedo just gently, that dink sound, and that explosion, my mom loves that part. Especially when they go off, up on the surface, those 2 pelicans, like, the pelican mistakens, like, the one pelican thinking, like, it's past gas, you know? Nice. And the tank gang. When Nemo meets the tank gang, like, the tank gang is definitely, they're one of the best, like, characters of this film. You have, of course, Bloat, Deb/Flo, Flo being Deb's reflection, you know, still gets a credit. Gurgi, and Gurgi, you know, Jacques, and Bubbles, yeah, and Peach, and yeah, Bloat being voiced by Brad Garrett, Vicki Lewis voicing Deb, Stephen Root voicing Bubbles, Jacques being voiced by the late legendary Pixar employee Joe Ranft, and Gurgi being voiced by, yeah, Austin Pendleton, if I'm saying his last name right, who I remember him best, and for any Muppet fans, like, he played Max in the Muppet movie. Yeah. Doc Hopper's, like, right-hand man, assistant, henchman, and who was didn't like what was going on with Kermit the Frog, Doc Hopper going after Kermit. So that's him. And Peach being voiced by the one and only Allison Janney, and the leader of the Tank Gang, who sees something in Nemo and knows that Nemo is the answer and can help them escape the tank in the dentist's office. Gil being voiced by the one and only Willem Dafoe. Yeah, Gil was probably one of my favorite characters. And that ceremony later that night, him becoming one of their own, named Sharkbait, hoo-ha-ha. And Gil going over this plan he has, to make the tank filthy, and, the dentist would have to put them in bags. They would roll through the window straight into the harbor. Yeah, and it seems like a good plan. But, at first it doesn't go out pretty well at first. And the dentist, I believe it was him. Yeah, it was him. He was the dentist, the dentist's first name is Philip. Being voiced by the late Bill Hunter. Yeah. So he's the voice of the dentist, and, let's see those pearly whites. No, shoo, they're not your fish. Oh, no, yeah, because Nigel, the pelican, another great character in the film, being voiced by the one and only Jeffrey Rush, a.k.a. Captain Barbossa, and the fact that this film came out the same year as the first Pirates film. So, yeah. And so, with the continuing journey of Marlin and Dory trying to find Nemo, like, from encountering an anglerfish to meeting a school of fish, the school of fish, one of the schoolfish, even though you don't see him in there, John Ratzenberger, Pixar's Lucky Charm, and the schoolfish giving them directions to Sydney, and they tell Dory to swim over, swim through it, not over it, like some barrier, I want to say, I don't know. But Marlin insists on, swimming over it and, tricks Dory into doing so. And they encounter jellyfish, of course. And then afterwards, they are rescued by sea turtles. And, of course, we get another great character in the film, Crush, being voiced by the director of this film and also a legendary Pixar member, Andrew Stanton. So, yeah, dudes, first you were like, whoa, and then you were like, whoa, and then you were like, whoa. Yeah. So Crush, he's just such a great character, and all the sea turtles, and Squirt, who is Crush's son, who is voiced by Brad Barrett's son, Nicholas Bird. Yeah. And to think, because, well, a year later, his father would direct another fantastic, incredible Pixar gem. Incredibles gem, blah, blah, blah. And speaking of which, I'd like to point this out. Many people, including Pixar, were seeing The Incredibles as this, hot film. Like, this was gonna be a great success. And they weren't so sure on Finding Nemo. And it kind of sounds familiar, similar, I should say, to at the time when everybody felt that Pocahontas was going to be a great success, but The Lion King, not so much. But look how Finding Nemo and Lion King turned out. Well, The Incredibles, it still did great a year after Finding Nemo came out. So, yeah. And so, even at one point, Marlin tells the story about what happened to his son, and the word gets spread out up to when Nigel the Pelican hears about this, and he delivers this to Nemo and the Tank Gang. And Nemo does successfully, blocks the drain, I want to say, of the tank, the fish tank, causing it to be filthy, and they are preparing themselves for when this happens, and, Crush helping out Marlin and Dory to make their way to, where they're supposed to be, get to Australia, but then at one point, they encounter a whale, and Dory, she can apparently speak whale. Can you please please help us. And speaking of which, about Dory speaking whale, here's a fun story for you. When this film came out, my parents, they got me some McDonald's toys of Finding Nemo, and one of them, of course, being Dory. Well, this was before they saw Finding Nemo, okay? Before they saw the film. They didn't understand what Dory was saying. They thought she was broken. They thought that, just something was wrong, because, and I think, yeah, it was my dad. He took the Dory toy back to McDonald's, telling them that it was broken, and, well, they thought so too, and so they gave him another Dory, and it was doing the same thing. And they told this story at one point to my uncle, and when they explained to him what was wrong with the Dory toy, because, well, he had already seen Finding Nemo, like, telling him that Dory was going, "Mwah, mwah," he died of laughter, like he was about to lay an egg. And my parents, they were like, "What's wrong with him? Like, what did we say?" And that's when my uncle explained to them, she's supposed to speak whale. She's speaking whale, and they couldn't understand it. And until they saw the movie, that's a great story, don't you think, that I talked about? Even say that Dory toy speaking whale, it's funny, And it is funny because Dory's trying to speak whale. Marlin has doubts of Dory speaking whale, even when she tries to attempt to do that again when they're inside the whale. But that's when, yeah, Marlin, does trust Dory, that what Dory is saying to Marlin, she can't understand what the whale's saying. It's time to let go. Everything's going to be fine. And, yeah, the thing is, the whale was helping Marlin and Dory make their way to Australia. So, yeah, that whale was being loyal. It understood. It gladly helped them get to Australia for them to get closer to find Nemo. And even at one point, back to Nemo, because the tank was filthy and they were prepared to be put in bags, but then the next morning the tank was clean. The Aqua Scope 3000, whatever it was, that can clean the tank, quickly and such. And another thing is that I almost forgot to mention, one big thing about Nemo and the dentist fish tank as well, Darla, who is going to have Nemo as a birthday present. Yeah, and Darla being the dentist's niece, she's gonna be here to pick you up. You're her present. And Darla just being creepy and terrifying. Even the tank gang are terrified of Darla. And that music that plays, the psycho music, da, 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 it's pretty funny. And even at one point, Nigel the Pelican does help Marlin and Dory, even saving them from all the seagulls, mine, 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 mine. And yeah, Marlin is this close to saving Nemo, even forcing Nigel to go in the dentist's office, scaring the heck out of Darla, the dentist trying to stop Nigel, and everybody in the dentist's office just looking through the fish tank, just what the heck is going on? Well, it starts off with that boy who actually is reading an Incredibles comic. He looks in the tank, and that was funny. And by the way, because some of the Easter eggs in this film, can't forget to mention, the Pizza Planet truck, of course, makes an appearance. And in the dentist's waiting room, the toys, there was the Pixar ball, and there was also a Buzz Lightyear figure. That was pretty cool. Makes sense. And, yeah, even I'd like to point this out, the boats that are in the dock, and with the whole seagulls and Nigel, I remember, the Pixar people said that, I don't think it made it in there. One of the boats was supposed to say "for the birds." It's true, so. And so, Marlin thinks that Nemo is dead. Nemo is playing dead to fool the dentist, because the dentist was about to give Nemo to Darla, but is pretending to play dead. So, yeah, Marlin misunderstands and thinks that Nemo is dead, and a sad moment between Marlin and Dory, even after, like, well, Nigel, he puts them back in the ocean, and, you know, the last thing that Nigel says is, "I'm so sorry. Truly I am." You know, very, you know, touching for Nigel to say that, and, you know, goodbye, Nigel, that's the last we see of him. Like, you know, I'm curious, like, was he ever told that Nemo was alive? Come on, like, he's an important character in the film. I'm sure. Maybe the Tank Gang at one point told them, I don't know. Who knows? Probably so. A theory, and so on. And, as I said, like, the emotional moment, like, with Dory and Marlin, and Dory telling Marlin that she feels like she's home, you know? She looks at him, and she's home. Like, she has family now, and she doesn't want to forget it. But Marlin, he wants to. He is done. He's just going back home and, you know, at first he thinks he's just going to have a miserable life without his son. So, but then, of course, Nemo does survive from Darla. Gil helps Nemo get into the sink drain, you know, and as Gil says, all drains lead to the ocean. And right before Gil sends Nemo in the drain, you know, Gil says, "Tell your dad I said hi." Yeah, because thanks to Gil and the Tank Gang, like, helping them for Nemo to get back to his dad. So, Nemo meeting with Dory for the first time, and Dory's trying to remember everything, like, you know, like, she lost Marlin, but she can't remember, and that's when at one point she reads on one of the drains, you know, P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, which that's what's said on the scuba diver's mask and with the anglerfish sequence. And now she remembers, and she knows it's Nemo, and I loved it when they confronted those crabs, and, you know, the crab was not going to tell where they last saw Marlin. "There's no way you're gonna make me talk." And that look on Dory's face, like, she was, oh, you don't mess with Dory. When you make her mad, you don't, like, you get what's coming. And threatening the crab, like, being, like, eaten to the seagulls, like, you know, and he went to the fishing ground. Like, that was pretty funny. And I believe it was, like, that one crab, yes, it's him, yeah, being voiced by Rove McInnes. Am I saying, yeah, who, was an Australian, like, talk show host, yeah. I remember seeing those clips on YouTube of him talking with Elmo. Yeah, so, and that was actually my discovery of Kevin Clash being the Muppeteer and voice for Elmo. So yeah, pretty cool. Thanks to him. And of course, Nemo and Marlin, they're reunited up until when disaster strikes once again. You know, a fishing boat, like, with a big net, snatching fish, including Dory, and Nemo, like, convincing his father that he can do this, and it's the only way to save Dory. And of course, he's like, "You're right, I know you can. Lucky Finn, now go, hurry." And telling all the fish to swim down. I love that, because Marlin just going, "Swim down! Don't give up! Keep swimming! Just keep swimming!" And that, oh gosh, and can't forget to mention, "Just keep swimming, just keep swimming," the song that Dory sings. And of course, it works, all the fish are safe, and a happy reunion for Marlin and Nemo. And of course, you know, everything's all great, a nice epilogue, Nemo going to school, and tagging along with Nemo is Squirt, and the shark getting one more appearance. That was pretty funny. And even, like, say, Marlin, a little bit throughout the film, was trying to make a joke, you know, about a sea cucumber, and he does succeed at the end, getting the other dad fish to laugh. So, yeah. And what a way to end the film with, you know, Nemo giving one last hug goodbye before he goes off to school. You know, what the fish are going to do. "Bye, Dad." And he calmly says, "Bye, son." The end. And this film was also dedicated to the late Glenn McQueen, a very important member to Pixar. As John Lasseter said it best in the tribute to Glenn, he was the heart and soul of the animation department. Yeah, it definitely shows. So, we get one more scene with the fish, with the tank gang. They did escape the fish tank, and you wondered what they did with the aquascope, because as the dentist said, here this thing works, and then it breaks. The tank gang found a way to break it, and they successfully escaped. And also, quickly, Luigi from Cars actually makes an appearance. He passes by right before we cut to the tank gang in the ocean. They're still in their bags, and Bloat getting the last line. Now what? Loved the end credits. Like this, the Finding Nemo's version of Beyond the Sea, I think is my favorite. Like, no hard feelings on the original. I'm just saying. And all the Finding Nemo characters swimming around during the credits. Even Mike Wazowski making an appearance. That was pretty funny. He must have, made his way into the human world and went for a swim. So, and I loved it when the little green fish, it's this tiny little fish and, very scared. And yet he ate the anglerfish. That was pretty funny. And yeah, again, as I said, for this being Pixar's first Oscar-winning film, rightfully so, because Finding Nemo, as I said, what a true Pixar gem this is. It's fantastic, the story is great, the characters are great, and the music by Thomas Newman, fantastic, of course, a member of the Newman family, doing a Pixar film, the first being Randy Newman. So, yeah. Also, the water in Finding Nemo is I think, still amazing, because definitely Finding Nemo took computer-generated water to the next level, don't you think? And definitely, Finding Nemo, giving it a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 stars, and what about you guys? What do you think of Finding Nemo? What did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review a like as always. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Finding Nemo. More reviews coming your way. They're gonna be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. And also, happy anniversary to Finding Nemo. Take care, and one more Oscar-winning film to review. Stay tuned for that. Peace out.